Did you know that in ancient times, almost every civilization made pottery, shaping clay by hand, drying it in the sun, and firing it in simple kilns? But in South India, archaeologists found pottery with a black coating made of carbon nanotubes, a material used today in advanced electronics and spacecraft. Somehow, 2,600 years ago, they created technology that modern science only discovered recently. Some whisper a theory that knowledge this advanced might not have come from Earth alone. These are 5 mysterious discoveries that shocked science. In 2019, researchers from IIT Madras analyzed pottery shards excavated from the ancient settlement of Keeladi in Tamil Nadu, India, a site dated to around 600 BCE. At first, the black-coated pottery looked ordinary, just another example of ancient craftsmanship. But under a transmission electron microscope, the coating revealed something no one expected to see from a civilization that old. Hidden inside the smooth black layer were carbon nanotubes, hollow cylinders made of carbon atoms, just a few nanometers wide. These are structures so small that millions could fit across the width of a single human hair, and yet they possess incredible strength, heat resistance, and chemical stability. Modern scientists only discovered and synthesized carbon nanotubes in 1991, and even today, they're used in aerospace composites, medical sensors, and cutting-edge electronics. But here they were perfectly formed in pottery made over 2,600 years ago. Chemical analysis suggested the coating contained iron, silicon, and carbon compounds, possibly created by heating plant-based materials and ferric oxides in oxygen-limited furnaces. Under just the right conditions, these ingredients could accidentally or deliberately form nanotube structures. But here's where it gets stranger. The nanotubes weren't random. They were uniform, multi-walled, and stable features that suggest a controlled reaction, rather than a lucky accident. Even more surprising, the coating has remained chemically unchanged for over 2 millennia, a level of durability that even modern synthetic coatings often fail to match. In 2016, archaeologists excavating the ancient Canaanite city of Tel Lachish in modern-day Israel uncovered a small, broken ivory comb, about the size of a thumb, carved around 1700 BCE. At first glance, it looked like any other grooming tool from the Bronze Age, decorative, functional, unremarkable. But 6 years later, a microscopic re-examination revealed something extraordinary. On the surface of the comb, researchers noticed faint, linear marks that didn't appear to be natural scratches. When they zoomed in under a high-resolution microscope, they discovered inscriptions, 17 tiny Canaanite letters, each less than a millimeter deep. Together, they formed a short but remarkable sentence, the oldest known complete sentence ever written in the Canaanite alphabet. The inscription read, "May this tusk root out the lice of the hair and beard." In other words, the object literally described its own purpose, a personal wish or charm for protection against lice. And the tool had been used exactly as intended. Chemical analysis and residue testing revealed traces of ancient lice and eggs, still embedded between the comb's teeth, preserved for nearly 3,700 years. The material made the find even more unusual. The comb was carved from ivory, not native to the region, meaning it came from imported elephant tusk, likely traded from Africa or Syria. That suggests the owner was someone of wealth or status, able to afford luxury items, even for mundane purposes. But the real significance of this discovery isn't the comb itself, it's the writing. This is the earliest evidence of a fully formed alphabetic script, carved only a few centuries after the invention of alphabetic writing in the Levant. It shows that by 1700 BCE, people were already using written language not just for royal decrees or trade records, but for everyday personal objects, even hygiene tools. So this tiny lice comb, barely 6 centimeters wide, doesn't just record a man's irritation with insects. It marks a turning point in human history, the moment when writing began to move from kings and temples into the hands of ordinary people. In 1985, in the small Bulgarian village of Rogozen, a local farmer digging a trench for a water pipe struck something metallic beneath the soil. When archaeologists arrived, they realized it wasn't a single object. It was the edge of an immense Thracian treasure hoard, buried for over 2,400 years. Over the next few months, they uncovered 165 intricately crafted silver vessels, weighing more than 20 kilograms in total. Cups, jugs, goblets, ceremonial pitchers, all made of silver, many overlaid with gold leaf, and decorated with mythological scenes and ritual symbols. Each piece was hand-hammered, chased, and engraved with astonishing precision, proof of highly skilled Thracian metalworkers, centuries before the rise of classical Greek art. But what truly surprised researchers was how diverse the collection was. Inscriptions and stylistic analysis showed that the vessels came from different workshops and regions, spanning nearly a century of production, roughly between the 5th and 4th centuries BCE. Some even bore the names of Thracian kings, including Cody's Eye, linking the hoard directly to the royal circles of the Odrysian kingdom, the most powerful Thracian state of its time. The hoard wasn't a random stash of wealth. Many of the vessels were ritual objects, used in religious ceremonies and diplomatic exchanges between Thracian nobles and neighboring powers, like Macedonia and Persia. Chemical analysis of the silver revealed different isotopic signatures, suggesting that the raw metal came from multiple sources, evidence of an extensive trade network stretching deep into the Balkans and the Aegean world. So, why was such a treasure buried? Archaeologists believe it was hidden during a time of political instability or invasion, possibly during the expansion of Philip II of Macedon. The owner, likely a Thracian noble or priest, never returned to reclaim it. Today, the Rogozen treasure stands as the largest Thracian silver hoard ever discovered, not just a symbol of wealth, but a detailed record of a civilization's artistry, religion, and cross-cultural connections. Every vessel in that hoard carries its own fragment of history. Together, they form the most complete picture we have of Thracian craftsmanship and belief in the pre-Hellenistic world. In 2022, archaeologists excavating the ancient port city of Berenike, on Egypt's Red Sea coast, uncovered something no one expected to find there: a statue of the Buddha, carved over 1,800 years ago. The site, once part of the Roman Empire, was known as a major hub for trade between Egypt, Arabia, and India. But until this discovery, no one had ever found such a clear trace of Indian art on Egyptian soil. The statue stood about 71 centimeters tall, carved from anorthosite gneiss, a stone quarried not in Egypt, but near Tavara, in southern India. It depicted the Buddha with a halo around his head, symbolizing radiance, and a lotus flower held at his side, both classic elements of early Indian Buddhist iconography. Stylistic analysis placed its creation around the 2nd century CE, during the reign of Roman Emperor Antoninus Pius. Nearby, archaeologists found inscriptions in Sanskrit and coins from the Kushan Empire, further confirming contact with India's northwestern kingdoms. The statue itself was likely commissioned by Indian merchants, operating in Berenike under Roman protection, perhaps as an offering of devotion at a local shrine. But this wasn't an isolated exchange. Berenike's harbor had already yielded Indian pottery, beads, peppercorns, and textiles, proof that ships from India regularly crossed the Arabian Sea and the Red Sea, centuries before European navigation began. Yet the Buddha statue was different. It wasn't cargo, it was belief. A sacred image carried across 4,000 kilometers of ocean, bridging two of the world's great ancient civilizations. This single find rewrote a part of history. It showed that by the 2nd century CE, Indian religious art had reached the heart of Roman Egypt, not as a curiosity, but as a living expression of cultural exchange between East and West.